Not doing, I'm doing it in a different way, nigga. Hey, y'all saw that? Y'all saw that?
I'm not gonna come in here and fuck shit up.
Yeah.
2 seconds later.
I'm doing it in a different way, nigga. Cause they're not gonna send me to the projects.
Oh, yo, come on.
Hey, y'all saw that? Y'all saw that?
Oh man, hold up. You can't be serious right now. You really cannot do this to me because I literally just uploaded a video. But you know what? I'm done holding back and biting my tongue at this point. If something needs to be said, I'm just gonna say it straight up. And listen to this. If you're not tapped in with the JBTV community over on Twitter, y'all are missing a lot because they're the ones catching everything in real time. Honestly, I would have never even noticed this because I don't sit there watching the Joe Budden podcast on YouTube like that. So tell me this, why was that part edited out? Now you're just pouring gasoline on a situation that was already heating up. Everybody knows the saying, when there's smoke, there's fire. But we already saw the smoke earlier. Now you're fanning the flames and blowing oxygen straight into it. So the question becomes, why remove that moment from the YouTube version? Because now it's making it look like all those rumors about it being about Melyssa actually have weight. At this point, people are going to start thinking, okay, this really might be about Melyssa. And the only explanation people are coming up with for why it was cut from the YouTube edit is because of that NDA situation tied to Melyssa and the others. Neither side has actually come out and addressed the situation directly. Even when Melyssa Ford herself got asked about it, she kept things extremely guarded. Her response basically sounded like someone who had way more to say but couldn't legally go there. She kept it vague and simply hinted that working in male-dominated environments can sometimes turn toxic really fast. And then she stopped right there. What? See, editing things out like this only makes the speculation worse. And honestly, before this, I couldn't even say for sure who Flip was referring to. He could have been talking about multiple people. In fact, in my previous video, I mentioned 3 completely different possibilities. But now the way this edit played out is making it look like Melyssa might actually be the person in question. So I went back and rewatched that Instagram video again. And I'm not gonna lie, that background wall does look a little different than what I expected. Like, where exactly were they again? Edgewater? I know the setup doesn't look the same, and it's not that infinity truck people were talking about, but still, the snow piled up around it looked crazy. And I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, Melyssa, aren't you supposed to have people handling that kind of stuff for you? Because that situation looked rough. Now, here's the other thing that's bothering me. Since I haven't been able to speak openly about the split, I'd rather nobody start dragging my name into the conversation either. Joe, I literally just posted a Patreon video calling you the king of engagement tactics, and this situation right here feels like another layer of that strategy. Because Joe knows exactly what happens when you remove something from the YouTube version of the podcast. The Patreon viewers immediately run over to Twitter and start talking about what was missing, and that's exactly what happened here. Clips started circulating all over Twitter within minutes, which then makes people realize, wait, we're not getting the full version of the episode on YouTube. And once that idea is planted, it lines up perfectly with the bigger strategy of pushing more viewers toward Patreon. Joe always talks about the $5 and $10 tiers, trying to convince people to upgrade to the $25 or even $50 levels. But what he doesn't talk about as much is the audience he's still trying to pull over to Patreon for the first time. And moves like this feel like another calculated step in that exact direction. And once again, this is just adding more fuel to the fire. Flip is really showing his worth here, because honestly, before he came back from vacation, nothing was going viral over here. Nobody, not a single clip. And while I was clipping this up for YouTube, I even caught another shot marked through a Flip. Man, I'm glad you got to take a vacation, because over here, we've been struggling without you. Trust me, Flip is gonna keep throwing shots at everyone up there until he gets exactly what he wants. But anyway, this isn't about him right now. If this really is about Melyssa Ford, Houston, we have a problem. She hasn't been speaking publicly, and if she has, I haven't dug deep enough into her interviews to catch anything that would justify y'all taking shots at her. But clearly, y'all didn't feel comfortable showing it because it got edited out of YouTube. I actually feel bad for people who aren't getting the full version, Because now I'm curious, what version did Spotify and Apple get? Are they getting the edited audio or the full-length uncut version that Patreon subscribers receive? At this point, it's starting to look like a calculated play. And just imagine if this really is aimed at Melyssa. What happens if she finds out and starts firing back? She's been biting her tongue just like y'all supposedly have. And while this may not even be the first shot in her direction, it feels like the first one that really got attention.
Now it's making me want to go back through past episodes to see if any sly or subtle jabs at her even made it into the YouTube edit. And every time I run clips back, I catch something I missed the first time. Like watching this, I saw Mark whisper off to the side, "Hey, who's he talking about?" And of course, Ice was the first to answer. Ice always seems to know the scoop. It makes me think they either talked about it beforehand or he just immediately knew who Flip was referencing once the conversation started. And of course, he's chit-chatting with Ice, so now everyone else on the show is in the loop. So is this all on Flip? Because even though Ice likes to play it like he's not involved, every time something's said, even in a joking or satirical way, he's always aware and letting someone else on the show know. That's why Ish always sits next to Ice. He knows he'll get the inside scoop if he's not paying attention. Honestly, one of the shots Joe took on the JBP rewind was about how a real producer wouldn't know how to act. That's even juicier than I gave it credit for. I might even make a Patreon video breaking that down. But that's the type of thing I'm talking about here. Who is he even talking about? For the audience, not knowing creates speculation and engagement, which is great. But it's wild when someone sitting right next to him has no clue either. Joe brought out BTS for a reason, to show that the show isn't purely organic, it's partially produced. So the fact that even the people in the room don't know who he's talking about just highlights that. This isn't the first time it's happened either. Joe keeps referencing how a producer would manage things if someone like Mark is in charge. And of course, Mark is always the first to act in these moments. Oh Lord, here goes my speculating self again. But is this really a big deal? Am I blowing it up more than it needs to be? Why would JBTV, well, the network, edit out Flip's shot when it's arguably the most engaging part of the Patreon episode? It's literally the segment that gets the public talking the most. And they didn't cut much, just Flip's shot out. The laughs, reactions, and after effects are still there. It just makes you think. Really put your tinfoil hat on for a second. Anyway, drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. This isn't going to change my posting schedule. I've still got another video dropping today. I just saw this pop up on Twitter and had to give my take. So yeah, let me know what y'all think, and I'll catch y'all soon. Peace.